Hello, hello everyone. It's me, Arden Lee. I am back today with another video, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about what to do if you don't have enough hours in the day to get done everything that you want to get done. This is Virgil over here. He's been joining me. This is my little feline assistant. So before I dive into that topic, of course, as always, if you have not yet done so, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel and or like my page, depending on what platform you are viewing this video on. And if you're not familiar with me and my work, my name is Arden Lee. I am the creator of the Repatterning Project, which is an 8-week course where we hack our beliefs, we examine our patterns, and we remove all of the obstacles that are in our way on our pathway to success, happiness, abundance, fulfillment, motivation, all that amazing stuff that we want to bring into our lives. So if that sounds like your jam, go ahead and check out the description box where I have a link to a free PDF guide about the Repatterning Project. And I also have a link to the Repatterning Parlor, which is the free Facebook group that I moderate, full of like-minded individuals who are also looking to do the same belief hacking work on their paths to success as well. And as we know, one of the main ways to assimilate a new belief is to join a social circle of new peers who already also have that belief that you yourself want to possess. So already just by joining the group, you're already taking that first step toward positive action and making the change in your life that you want to call in for yourself. So go check those out and come and introduce yourself. I would love to see you there. All right, so let's talk about what to do when you don't have enough hours of the day to get done everything that you want to get done. So there's a couple of different ways to approach this. One is that it's possible that you don't actually want to get done everything that you want to get done in the present moment. It's possible that you want to space things out over time. And the trick to that really is what I refer to as bandwidth management. And your bandwidth management essentially is your ability to prioritize the order in which you complete your tasks that need to get done in order to create the most space and acceleration for yourself, right? So it's sort of like achieving a whole bunch of goals at one time, setting a bunch of intentions and having the follow through on those intentions to bring those into fruition. It's kind of like downloading a bunch of files all at once. Now you can download all of those files at once, and they're each going to take a long time because you're downloading them all at once, so you're using up all your bandwidth. Or you can download them one at a time. And let's say that there are a couple of files that you actually need first to get your next project started, or maybe there are some things that you're downloading that actually frees up more space for you in the near future, right? Maybe it's something that that increases your bandwidth, increases your abundance, increases your ability to do things. For me, for example, healing my relationship to my trauma, resensitizing my body and learning the skills of belief hacking, learning how to control my mindset was huge. If I tried to launch my business or solve my financial issues before I had done that, I would have been doing it from a place of inauthenticity. It was it was my ability to reframe my mindset that actually freed up more space and more bandwidth for me to tackle my projects, right? So one of the first things I did as part of embracing my new identity was I released an album with my band. I have a band called Arden and the Wolves, if you guys aren't already familiar. If you're into sexy ambient dark wave indie pop rock music, definitely go check it out. And essentially when I released this album, at that point I had spent so much money on healing my trauma and spent so much money on creating my album that my finances were fairly drained at that point. You know, I was surviving, but I definitely didn't have a lot of expendable income at that point. So what would have been smarter for me to do? Figure out how to bring in more income or go right into making the next album? If I'd gone right into making the next album, I would have had to you know, continue to struggle and hustle to raise the funds for it. Whereas if I invested instead in my business, in figuring out how to get my finances in order and bring in more wealth, more abundance, more income, then I could make that album from a place I wanted to say of excess, but like, you know what I mean, from a place of overflow, from a place of oh, this money is already available to me because I've already worked out how to bring it in, right? So that's an example of prioritizing the files that you want to bring in one at a time, the goals or the intentions that you want to follow through on one at a time in a way that makes sense. Some of them are going to be multiple, some of them are going to overlap naturally. That's natural that would happen. It's not about necessarily, you know, I mean, we all have relationships and finances and career and creative work that are all going on for us. But this ability to look at what makes sense to do next is really going to help you organize your priorities and realize that just because you only have so many hours in the day today, it's okay. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to work to get X, Y, Z finished first, and that's going to free you up more time later on, right? So that's number one. That's solution number one. Is maybe if you don't have enough hours in the day to do something, maybe it really is just about prioritizing the things that you're accomplishing in the order that frees up more time for you, right? Or frees up more income, more abundance. Like, let's say right now you're dedicating a lot of time to house cleaning, you know, to household maintenance or what have you. If you were to work on creating more income for yourself, then you would be able to, you know, several months down the line, you'd be able to perhaps hire a housekeeper instead, so that one file would then be taken off of your plate. And because you had worked on increasing your income first, then you would have, you know, if you had done it the opposite way, if you had been like, well, I need to prioritize my housekeeping before I prioritize increasing my income, then you might never get around to increasing your income in order to tackle the housekeeping, right? So it's about bringing that conscious awareness to the order in which you are doing things and making sure that you're doing them in the optimal order possible. The other thing that I am going to suggest for this particular issue is something that a lot of people have trouble doing, but which is really helpful, and is really, if you can surrender to it and if you can do it, it's gonna change your life. And that is to get up an hour earlier in the morning. This is a trick that I learned from author Hal Elrod, who is the author of a book called The Miracle Morning, and I'm currently in the middle of reading that, and it's, oh my God, it's changing my life, you guys. It's the simplest concept, and yet the vibration, the energy in which he writes and describes all the productivity he's able to do in the morning hours actually makes me excited to get up in the morning, which is ridiculous because I'm a musician, you guys. I'm like a super night owl, you know, like, so I was the last person to be a morning person, and now I'm getting super into it. I'm really enjoying this idea of getting up earlier in the morning. I did it today, and I just felt amazing all day. It's just a wonderful way to start off your day, and it gives you more energy. So if you can wake up an hour earlier in the morning, set aside that hour for the tasks that you want to get done just for yourself. Importantly, I think it's important to set aside that hour in the morning for things that are really for you and are not just for your family members or people that you're caretaking, or you know, it could be for your work if it's for your own work, you know, for work that you care about doing for yourself, but it shouldn't be for work that's like for a boss, or, you know, something that is outside yourself, that is not something that your soul is being called to. So getting up that extra hour early in the morning to do those things that you want to do for yourself is pretty huge. That in itself is pretty life-changing. Now you might say, but Arden, how am I going to get enough sleep if I'm gonna, you know, I don't think I'm going to be able to go to bed an hour earlier. Well, first of all, I would advise you to try and see if you can. But if you can't, a remarkable thing that it's something I read in The Miracle Morning, but I'd actually discovered it for myself a couple months prior to reading it. And the way that Hal Elrod in Miracle Morning phrases it is, he says, He's like, look, this is from my personal experience, and I know that probably a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but in my experience, the amount of hours that I sleep are not nearly as important as the intention I set when I go to bed. Whether I have 8 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep, if I go to bed with the intention of like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get enough sleep and I'm going to wake up tired tomorrow, like I'm in this like sleep scarcity, then, you know, then I'm going to be in that, I'm going to be in that space where when I wake up, I'm going to feel tired, because that's the last thing I was thinking about. And yet, if I am in a space of abundance around sleep, if I'm in a space of gratitude where I'm like, yes, thank you, universe, for these 4 hours of sleep that I'm about to get, that I absolutely know are going to be enough for me, he says, then I wake up well rested in this kind of weird, kind of miraculous way. And I've been feeling this, the same thing for myself lately too, only I'd been feeling it with slightly different language. I noticed that when I was having a hard time getting to sleep at night, when I was suffering from insomnia, even as recently as a couple months ago, I realized that I was having a hard time getting it to sleep because I was having anxiety about not getting enough sleep. It was almost like I was like not able to trick my mind into, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how late it is. The minutes are just ticking away and I'm not asleep yet. At this point, I'm gonna be exhausted. I can't believe I'm tossing and turning and not falling asleep. And then one night I was doing this and I was having this dialogue in my head and I was like, I've got to be up in about 5 hours, which doesn't feel like enough sleep for me. But what if I could imagine that during these next 5 hours, I was just going to get the deepest, most satisfying sleep and I was going to wake up well rested? What if I could see this 5-hour container not as being a sparse container of insomnia like I've been having for the past 3 or 4 hours that I've been trying to get to sleep unsuccessfully? But what if I could see it as this deep container where I actually go into deep REM sleep and I get all the rest that I need and I wake up refreshed? And amazingly, you guys, I fell asleep like within 10 minutes and I woke up and I was like, oh, wow, that was easy. So now, whenever I go to bed, I really watch my thoughts. I watch the way that I'm talking to myself internally about the quality of sleep that I am about to get. And that helps me get as much rest as I need on however many hours I have. So the short answers to the question of what to do if you don't have enough hours in the day to get done everything you need to get done is, first, lend your conscious awareness to your prioritization of tasks and do the tasks first that free up either more time or more income to be able to outsource those tasks to other people or other sources. And two, wake up an hour earlier every morning. Try and see if you can get to bed an hour earlier every night. And if you can't, rather than seeing that extra hour as taking away from your sleep and creating scarcity, see that container of time that you do have for sleep as being a deep container of restfulness that is going to be enough. And let me know how that works out for you. It's pretty miraculous when you really give it a shot. So thank you guys for listening. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.